BNP Paribas Wealth Management is proud to partner with the entrepreneurs on Monocle Radio. Confronted by complexity, you need a financial partner you can trust that will protect your assets and strive to meet your expectations. BNP Paribas Wealth Management is the bank for entrepreneurs in a changing world. Head to wealthmanagement.bnp Paribas now for guidance on starting your journey. You're listening to Eureka on Monocle Radio, brought to you by the team behind The Entrepreneurs, the show all about inspiring people, innovative companies, and fresh ideas in global business. I'm Tom Edwards. Petter Kukacka is the founder and creative director of The Great Exhibition, a Stockholm-based creative studio dedicated to reigniting a sense of wonder in a world obsessed with the predictable. Formerly known as Piadat, the studio rebranded after 15 years to embrace bold, audacious projects, including building the world's first, and so far only, indoor office rollercoaster. So how do you approach the ups and downs of a total rebrand while keeping your core identity intact? And how do you take a crazy childhood dream and turn it into a real-world design success? Well, here is Petter with more on how his journey began.
So the Great Exhibition was an event that made people wander over the world, wander over the impossible or even the unknown. Almost like when we were kids, everything was possible. I think this aspect of the world has somehow been lost. So we wanted to celebrate the idea of a world filled with wonders. What we see today is like an extreme focus on trying to predict things, seeing patterns and figuring out the optimal outcome of everything, like business cases, data-driven communication, optimization. So this is the opposite of what we're interested in. So the opposite of wonder. So the Great Exhibition is kind of a perfect source for inspiration for us. So I've been working, I think, almost 18 years as something in between an art director, graphic designer, and a creative director. The studio was named Piadat, and it was standing for Petter Johansson, Art Direction and Design. And then after 15 years, we decided to rename our studio to The Great Exhibition. So The Great Exhibition has just been up and running for a year, but it's built on the same people as in the old studio. We just needed to take a deep look into the mirror and understand what we have learned during those 15, 16 years as Piadat, and take all those mistakes and take it into some kind of new process with creativity. It was really scary because everyone is always suspicious that you do a rebranding of some kind of identity crisis reasons or money reasons. And we literally just needed to, in some way, make a change for ourselves. Not so much for the clients of our design work, more like we were really bored. And we really needed to package everything and make it reborn, because we needed to feel that we could breathe again, because we were so stuck in the way people looked at how we were working and also what kind of briefs they gave us. So it started like a childhood dream that I wanted to build a roller coaster, and then slowly it turned into a huge design challenge for the studio. It started like a dream that I had from when I was a child, and then it turned into something much more exciting. If you are a creative person and you get an idea and people start doubting and actually question it pretty much, you also in some way get energy out of that. There was one guy in the studio, he's probably the most skilled industrial designer, that I was very negative and didn't feel at all that he thought this was a good idea for the studio. So I asked him to start designing it, because I felt that was the most fair way of, in some way, giving him feedback, because I thought he was a bit spoiled that he didn't want to have a roller coaster in the studio. So we started designing it almost like graphic designers, some elevations and some heights and some more on a very amateur from an amateur perspective. So we drew something that we felt was pretty cool. And then going from that drawing to something that was actually going to be built was probably the hardest challenge in my life, from a design perspective at least. So we run into so many issues and so many discussions and so many question marks while trying to design it and build it. In a way, we started like, can we build it ourselves? Which was not to recommend. And then, just having discussions with engineers about hydraulic pressures on the brakes. It was insane. It was actually really insane to try to become a roller coaster builder as an amateur. I think, we've been trying to Google, and we haven't found anything that are similar to the ones that we have built. And the Chinese factory was also in a way, really happy because they couldn't find anything either. So they thought it was a perfect business case for them to start selling indoor roller coasters. AI is super advanced and super complicated, but as a tool is probably something that is good for humankind in a way, because it probably helps us to make us much more effective. But it's also supporting generic ideas. This is always the middle of everything. When we did our first AI project, it became pretty absurd. It was very, very, very strange, because it's almost like you're giving people the right to do whatever they want, and they believe that they could create whatever they want. Because, we work a lot with words and images and stuff. But we also felt like when we used it, it felt like if our ideas are bad, it works really well. If our ideas are good, it's a disaster to work with. So we felt that the roller coaster is a good answer to AI, because I think a lot of people almost thinks it's an AI roller coaster in a way. In the beginning, when we sent some pictures to some friends and stuff, they literally thought it was AI, because it's not possible to build it, especially not for a small design studio in Stockholm. So I think the more we live in a fantasy and an illusion of the world, the more we craving for authentic stuff, real physical experiences. I'm trying now to build an inflatable store, because I think it's really fun to jump around in a store instead of walking around. It's a super simple idea. It's not complicated. It's not fantastic, but I really would like to build that, and I have a plan for building it. So hopefully that's what's up next, I think.
That was Petter Kukacka, the founder and creative director of The Great Exhibition, and you can learn more about the business by heading to tge1851.com. And that's all for this episode of Eureka. We'll be back at the same time next week. The programme was produced by Laura Kramer, with audio editing by Jack Dewars. Listen again and find out more at monocle.com. That's where you can join the club and subscribe to Monocle magazine, or follow us and browse the archive wherever you get your podcasts. If you'd like to contact the team, email Laura on lrk@monocle.com. I'm Tom Edwards. Goodbye, and thanks for listening to Eureka. BNP Paribas Wealth Management is proud to partner with the entrepreneurs on Monocle Radio. Confronted by complexity, you need a financial partner you can trust that will protect your assets and strive to meet your expectations. BNP Paribas Wealth Management is the bank for entrepreneurs in a changing world. Head to wealthmanagement.bnpparibas now for guidance on starting your journey.